In the experimental arena of economics, scholars embark on a captivating journey through the intricate dimensions of controlled studies, hypothesis testing, and the exploration of human behavior in economic settings. Like experimental architects, researchers unravel the complexities woven into the relationships between economic agents, market conditions, and the broader socio-economic context. They delve into the multifaceted dimensions of experimental economics, wielding the transformative power of controlled experiments to understand decision-making processes, market dynamics, and the nuances of economic behavior. The study of experimental economics becomes a journey of exploration, where the threads of controlled inquiry, hypothesis formulation, and empirical insights converge in a narrative that spans the realms of economic theory, policy implications, and the diverse paths societies take in crafting their economic destinies. Experimental symphony in economic harmony. Economic experiences become a symphony in the realm of experimental economics. Researchers navigate the intricate dynamics of exploring the depth of experimental harmony, unraveling the subtleties that connect different economic elements through the orchestrated harmony of controlled studies, hypothesis testing, and the transformative insights gained from experimental investigations. Experimental alchemy of economic dynamics. Economic dynamics become a form of experimental alchemy in the world of experimental economics. Scholars investigate the transformations that occur within the economic landscape, unraveling the subtleties that shape how societies understand decision-making, allocate resources, and influence societal progress through the alchemical bonds of experimental analysis, controlled experiments, and the preservation of empirical economic wisdom. Experimental economics strategy. The study of experimental economics becomes a form of strategic science in societal representation. Practitioners explore the strategic dimensions of designing experiments, unraveling the subtleties that influence how economic narratives are crafted, identities are established, and values are communicated through the complex interplay of experimental decisions within the experimental economics framework. Experimental narrative strategies for understanding. Narratives become strategies in the experimental economics landscape. Researchers craft dynamic narratives of economic experiments, unraveling the subtleties that connect individuals and societies to the timeless stories that define their collective understanding of economic relationships through the lens of experimental economics. Transformative insights through experimental analysis. Economic processes become transformative dynamics in the world of experimental economics. Scholars investigate the transformative aspects of experimental analysis, unraveling the subtleties that shape economic development as they engage with the dynamic and enlightening dimensions of experimental inquiry. Wisdom of experimental practices. Economic practices become a form of wisdom in the realm of experimental economics. Researchers explore the economic significance of experimental decisions, unraveling the subtleties that designate certain experimental practices as culturally significant and imbued with historical and economic meaning. Language of experimental enchantment. Economic language becomes an enchantment in the world of experimental economics. Practitioners delve into the economic dimensions of how experimental terminology is used to convey perspectives, unraveling the subtleties that convey nuanced narratives of economic understanding, experimental dynamics, and the complexities of societal progress within the experimental economics framework. Experimental formulas for economic evolution. Formulas surrounding economic processes become practical in the world of experimental economics. Researchers explore the symbols and representations associated with experimental changes, unraveling the subtleties that convey experimental meanings and connections to the collective imagination through the lens of experimental economics narratives. Community resilience through experimental practices. Community becomes a source of resilience in the world of experimental economics. Scholars explore the practical aspects of communal participation in experimental practices, unraveling the subtleties that foster a sense of economic awareness, shared understanding, and inclusive engagement through the interconnected web of experimental economics phenomena. Ephemeral experimental narratives. Economic narratives become ephemeral chronicles in the enchantment of experimental economics. Researchers weave together the threads of societal dynamics, communal experimental rituals, and the evolving role of practical experimental strategies, creating a narrative that captures the economic essence of the evolving relationship between individuals, communities, and the intricate web of experimental economics experiences. In the captivating realm of experimental economics, The study of economic dynamics and experimental insights becomes a journey of exploration through the interconnected forces that shape the intersection of economic agents, market dynamics, and societal well-being. Experimental architects, as scholars are metaphorically described in this context, weave together the threads of experimental symphony, experimental alchemy, and the preservation of societal well-being into a narrative that captures the experimental essence of the evolving relationship between individuals, societies, and the transformative dynamics of experimental economics experiences.